Hi everyone. Today we have Miss Author Chitra Banerjee Divakaruni. She has recently written a book, Independence, which is published by HarperCollins India. Hi Chitra ma'am, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's lovely to be here with you.
And it's a pleasure for us to join her today. And Frontlist Media team is here with the HarperCollins India. It's amazing, and thank you so much.
My pleasure.
So, shall we start the conversation? So, recently you have you released your book, The Independence. So, what is this book all about? So, could you please tell us to the audience exactly what is the story or the story narration, behind this book or behind the story?
So, Independence is the story of three sisters who lived through that turbulent and exciting period of India becoming free, throwing off the British yoke, and making sure that the foreign powers are forced to leave the country. So it is at once the story of the nation and the story of this one family of three women, all of whom are learning what independence really means, what it means for a country and what it means for the women of that country, and in fact what it means for each individual woman as she pursues her dreams and her goals.
So my next question, that you just mentioned that it's a story about the independence and you just related the women protagonist into your story. So why did you choose the subject freedom struggle and the partition of India to write the novel?
Well, right now we have come to the 75th anniversary of this very important occasion, and I felt it was a very good time to revisit how that independence struggle started and how the whole country came together. No matter what was the religion, no matter what was the region of the country, no matter what was the language people spoke, people came together to create this amazing independence for the country, to create freedom. And I think, or I was feeling, even I myself, born into a free India, I didn't really appreciate how difficult it was, how much sacrifice was involved. And when we forget our history, then bad things begin to happen. We relive those mistakes again. And so I felt it was a great time for us to remember the unity of India that caused the freedom of India.
Thank you so much. So mostly your books known for the strong women protagonist character. So this book has three characters, three sisters, Priya, Jamini and Deepa. So how do you illustrate these characters in the story? So what exactly, their character arc?
Yes, and you are right. My books are really centered around very powerful women characters. But in all of them, we see the women grow into their strengths. It's not that they're born powerful, right? And maybe the message that I want to give to our readers is that we don't have to be born powerful. We can learn to become stronger. And sometimes we learn to become stronger when challenges are placed in our way. And that is certainly true for Priya, Jamini and Deepa. Because when the book starts, they're just three ordinary girls living in a village like about half a day away from Kolkata. But when direct action day riots happen, terrible tragedies take place in their life. And that is when they discover strength inside of themselves. And that is what allows us to be independent, to discover that source of strength, which I believe every woman has.
Should have.
Yes.
Okay. So, what are the challenges did you encounter while writing these characters, Priya, Jamini and Deepa? So, when you were writing, so what was in your mind that that's how will be my character?
I had to learn slowly what they would be like, because in the beginning of the story, they're one way. By the end of the story, they have grown and transformed themselves. And I had to allow that to happen step by step, because I find that when I'm writing, if I create a concept and try to build the story around it, it falls flat. It has to be an organic process where the character is growing because event A happens, the character changes, and that leads to event B, which changes the character further. And in each case, especially for this novel, their understanding of what India means to them, what freedom means to them, what independence means to them, is all changing. So it was a step-by-step process I was discovering even as I was writing.
So we can see the dynamic change in all the characters till the end of the story.
Yes, yes. And I certainly hope that some of the changes will surprise my readers, because they surprised me too. Sometimes people don't realize this, but often the author also is surprised by what the story brings up that maybe we did not know in the beginning.
Okay, thank you so much. So the meaning of independence differs from person to person, right? According to it is something different. According to the audience, independence is something else. So how did you connect the protagonist with a true sense of freedom?
So for me, independence, as I was researching India's past and as I was researching the history of that time, independence is a situation where we are able to hold up our heads and be proud of who we are. Independence is a situation where when troubles are placed in our path, or just because of life there's different challenges, independence allows us to face those challenges. And independence also says, okay, society is creating a role for me, but maybe I don't agree with that. Society is saying, in this case particularly, that I as a woman can't go there, can't do this, can't be allowed to express myself in this way. And independence is saying, no, I will make decisions about where I want my life to go.
So you relate independence with the story protagonist. So if I ask, what is the meaning of independence from you, from Chitra Banerjee? So what is the meaning for independence for you?
That is a very good question. And I think even as I have grown older and evolved, it's a little different. So I think independence is the ability to live a life where I can follow my own values. If I'm not allowed to follow my values, then I'm not living an independent life.
Right. Okay. So since your book Independence has just launched now, are you planning to adapt it into a movie soon?
It has been optioned, so I'm very excited about it. Things are still in process. So, I just pray to God that things
very
will work out.
To say. Yeah,
Yes.
Looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Okay. So how is the story of independence, your book, different from other partition-based fictional stories?
Yes, that's a great question, because one of the things I really wanted to focus on, and I think it makes Independence a very unique text, is that most of the partition stories, especially those written in English, focus on the Punjab border, the western border, right? And completely understandable, because terrible things and amazing things were happening there, and it was close to the capital, Delhi.
Right.
But equally important was the eastern border, where the same tales of partition were happening. People were going back and forth. There was a lot of trauma. There was a lot of sadness. There were also tales of great heroism and helping, especially between the Bengali Hindus and the Bengali Muslims. There was a lot of community, as well as some terrible violence. But nobody's told that story in English, almost nobody. And I really felt the importance to share a story that everyone in India from different regions, everyone who reads English, could share and could feel and could really live it, because it's so important. I wanted to respect that part of my own history, because that's the part of India I come from.
Thank you so much. Could you please discuss the essence of the book, that how can it really hook the readers till the end of the story? Anything, special?
Well, I mean, the readers will have to answer that question, what is hooking them? But I think for me, a book is always character-based. So if the characters are complex, if they are learning, growing, and surprising both themselves and the reader, that for me is a satisfactory read. And that for me is a successful book. And I think our three protagonists, Priya, Jamini, and Deepa, their lives go in ways that they had not expected. They're always faced with new challenges, but they grow. they adapt to those challenges, and in the process they become stronger women.
Right.
And I think there are some real twists in the plot, which I hope will really surprise the reader. Even I didn't know until that moment in the plot how things would work out. So I had to learn along with the reader.
Wow, that's amazing. So it will be an injustice to all the characters if I ask, choose one character who is very remarkable according to you. But being an author, it is difficult to choose one. But still, I would like to ask your favorite character.
You know, I think the three sisters are each special to me in their own ways. So it's very hard for me as, like, they're like my children, right? Because I've created them. So it's hard to choose one over the other. And also, I don't want to influence the reader. So I will say, I'll change the question a little bit, and I'll say, okay, among the women characters, the three sisters are equally important to me. All right, one is a little bit more of a favorite, but I won't give it away because I don't want to influence the reader. But among the men, the father of the three girls, Nabakumar, is certainly my favorite because, okay, there's a personal reason here. He's kind of based on my own grandfather who lived through the freedom struggle himself and told me many stories about that time and about how amazing it was that people of different backgrounds came together to march together. They didn't mind being jailed together. You know, it was really a very inspiring time. And also he was a village doctor just like Nabakumar. So I think I have a warm spot in my heart for the girl's father, Nabakumar.
And it is very unusual since you have been written female protagonist characters and your favorite character is male.
Yes, well, among the men, he is my favorite. Among the girls, I do have one favorite one. I'll let the readers guess which one it might be. I'll let our viewers guess. I wrote the novel The Last Queen, which is about Maharaja Ranjit Singh's youngest wife, Maharani Jinda Kaur. And she is an amazing woman whom history has kind of forgotten, has obliterated. So I wanted very much to tell her story and of her resistance to the British. She was very courageous, she was very feisty, and she fought the British until her last breath. But this was in the 1840s and 50s, and she could not win over the British. They were just too strong at that point. They just had this diabolical strategy of dividing a kingdom from the inside by causing treachery to happen through bribery and all of those things. So her story ends at a very sad point in Indian history when the British are at the height of their power. And I just could not leave that story at that point. I needed to trace it to the end of the movement when the Indians are at the height of their power. They have created a nation and the British are forced to leave. So I think that is really behind why I wanted. I couldn't rest until I wrote this book.
Thank you so much, Chitra ma'am. And dear audience, it's a lovely interview, and I think this book is very, very perfect read to you if you are looking for something full of female protagonist characters and want to read something freedom and partition. So this is the book. This is the book. Please read it.
Thank you.